Welcome to this tutorial where I'm going to show you how to navigate and understand your verified data audit results. Verified data is the next generation Google Analytics auditing tool. I guarantee you have not seen anything as powerful or as comprehensive as this before. So let's take a moment to explain why this is. Verified data uses some smart technology to forensically audit your Google Analytics account. It's a unique hybrid method that is so effective because it combines forensic data checks with a visit simulator. That is, checking what data is being collected by your website versus what data should be collected. That is extremely important as it allows a complete picture of your data quality to be built. With over 200 data quality tests, verified data is capable of simulating visits of hundreds of thousands of pages and checking millions of data points. No other product can match that in terms of accuracy or scalability. Now let's get started. After you log in, you will arrive on the project summary page. Here you can see the table of projects that have been set up. I have two rows representing two websites that are being audited. Before clicking on one of these rows, let's explain what you see here. First, you see the project name, then its root domain, the number of pages tested, the date of the last audit, and the quality index score. The quality index is the overall score for an audit, and we will come back to this again shortly. For now, this is telling us how good the data is, with 100 being a perfect and well-governed setup. On this page, you can make some useful project changes. Users allows you to provide access on a per-project basis, for example, adding a work colleague who needs to view the reports but not run audits, or if you're an agency, your client. Adding users to your entire account is handled within the account area. Note, there are no limits to how many users you can add. Renaming a project is useful to keep your table looking tidy. By default, the project name used is taken from the Google Analytics view name being audited. Having a more beautified name can, however, be useful. Clone is when you have a project you wish to duplicate. That is useful when tweaking settings, such as experimenting with audit weightings and thresholds. Removing a project is used when you wish to reuse a project slot. That is, delete the current project and all its data. Although typically you will wish to audit your data over time, if a project is no longer of interest, or perhaps as an agency your client has moved on, you can reuse your project slots. Lastly, if you see a warning triangle on a project row, this is a heads up that suspected personal information has been found within the Google Analytics view. It's highlighted here because that is clearly a bad thing and likely to get you into trouble with data protection authorities. It is also against Google's terms of service and could lead to your property being removed. Therefore, we will look at this specific report a little later. Now let's look at the audits. Click anywhere within a row to go to the project's dashboard. The dashboard area summarizes your last 5 audits. Each column represents a completed audit with the results shown in scorecard format. The scorecard method is a well-established management technique to summarize fragmented information at a glance. For example, a full verified data audit consists of over 200 tests, and we will drill down into these next. However, at this point, for simplicity, the summary is essentially a traffic light system of green, amber, and red. These highlight if there are issues present and how severe they are. Each color represents a score that is then weighted and summarized as the quality index. You can find out more about the scorecard method in the tutorial video Creating a Project on our YouTube channel. To the right of the page is a summary of the last audit run, highlighting the overall quality index score and the change since the previous audit. Below this is the trend over time. Let's click on the last audit, either here or here, to see the details of the tests. These are the details of the selected audit. At the top is a summary of which Google Analytics view has been audited and for what date range. The default period is the last 30 days, though this can be adjusted in your settings. There is also the overall quality index score and icons to expand the report, download or print a summary PDF, and export the tested URLs. Below the summary, the first section is dedicated to the base configuration checks. Each one of these sections can be expanded out to reveal the tests. First, let's look at the deployment and cover it section. As the name suggests, this is all about what tracking code, if any, is being deployed on your pages. Each color title represents a check, that is green, amber, or red to represent the good, not so good, and potentially bad result. Thresholds are used to trigger the specific color coding. For example, let's examine the first test. At least 98% of pages must contain the correct tracking code for this result to be green. If more than 2% of pages are missing the tracking code, this test will be amber. If more than 5% of pages are missing the tracking code, this test will be red. These thresholds are important, but generally you do not want to be alerted to an issue that may only be, for example, one page out of many thousands. As shown earlier, all thresholds can be customized in the audit settings, though ensure you understand the defaults before you adjust these. In the coverage section, we are looking for tracking consistency. That is, all pages firing the desired tracking code, all using the same JavaScript library and the same deployment method. There should be no pages with duplicate hits, and the use of anonymized IP, if set at all, should be consistent. In this table, what you're looking for is simplicity. That is, ideally you'll want to see only one Google Analytics tracking code variation, meaning all pages are identically tracked. It's acceptable, of course, to have several tracking codes within your first variation, as shown here. For example, perhaps you have a roll-up account for different sites you own. However, to be privacy compliant, you will need to identify the owner of these other Google Analytics accounts, and that each owner takes full responsibility for its data governance. If that cannot be achieved, consider removing these rogue accounts to minimize the privacy risk and liabilities of running them. To view the pages corresponding to each tracking code combination, use the export link. Now let's take a look at the governance and compliance section. From a privacy point of view, collecting any personal information from your visitors is likely to get your organization into trouble, both in terms of privacy laws and with Google, whose terms of service expressly forbid this. Verified Data uses artificial intelligence to detect such issues. You can see a list of sensitive information types that are checked by following this link. Checks include credit card numbers, email addresses, banking codes, visitor IP addresses, telephone numbers, etc. In addition, you can specify country-specific checks, such as a passport number, driver's license, and social security numbers. Okay, back to the audit. As you see here, there are multiple failures. When personal information is suspected, a sample table of up to 10 examples is shown and grouped by probability. The values are very likely, likely, and possible. Note, Verified Data redacts any detected violation while processing. That is, no personal data is stored on our servers. Using artificial intelligence gives Verified Data two distinct advantages. Firstly, by its nature, such issues are low in volume, typically much less than 1/10 of 1% of total hits. That makes it very hard to find by any other method. Secondly, Verified Data is language agnostic. It can work simultaneously with multiple languages. Imagine if you are responsible for sites in Chinese, Russian, and Turkish. Now let's scroll down and take a look at the e-commerce section of the audit. This follows a similar pattern to the other sections. Note here the asterisks. This is your clue that custom thresholds have been used for this section, rather than the defaults. You will see this by any section where the default settings have been overridden. As before, tests are conducted against their thresholds to give a red, amber, or green result. Probably the most common error we find is duplicate transactions, the double counting of conversions and revenue. In addition, there are multiple checks for suspicious data and/or missing data. For example, e-commerce managers like to be aware of any unusually high or low revenue orders, or suspicious quantity amounts. For enhanced e-commerce users, Verified Data also conducts sanity checks on your sales funnel. That is, ensuring all stages are tracked and that they decay in the right direction, meaning that the visit traffic at the top of the funnel gradually reduces in volume towards the bottom. Note here the problem identified on row 4, missing data from the checkout stage. Within the sales funnel, Verified Data also compares the number of sessions at each stage against your minimum expectations. This enables you to quickly identify any pain points. Here there are two problem areas identified. The product view and checkout stages have suspiciously low values. As before, you can set the expected value thresholds in your audit settings. Another check is to ensure you have consistent hit types. i.e. not blending standard and enhanced e-commerce data together. That is in fact a common issue found for transaction sites that have migrated from standard to enhanced e-commerce. So that's how to get started with understanding your audit reports. If you are ready for your own setup, you can try Verified Data for free. Simply go to verifieddata.com and click the Try Verified Data button at the top. You can create an auditing account for up to 5 projects, no bank or card details required. When your audit completes, you receive a full scorecard summary with your overall quality score and be able to log in and drill down on the individual test results within the first 4 sections, all for free. At any time, you can view all of the features and settings of a working Verified Data account within our demo. Thank you for watching. This video is part of a series of helpful tutorials for learning about Verified Data. You can find these on our YouTube channel. Please take a moment to like and subscribe if you found this tutorial useful.